Hello, very good day to you. Looking ahead to this weekend and a bit of a north-south split. It's across the far north of the country where there will be some wet and windy weather at times. Across more central, southern parts it's looking largely fine and increasingly warm. But before we get there, I want to look at the bigger picture and draw your attention to this area of low pressure currently out in the Atlantic. It's technically Tropical Storm Dexter, but it's going to come towards us, but it's going to fill and become less intense. It's going to lose its tropical storm status quite quickly, but nonetheless it will influence our weather somewhat. I'll come on to the details about that in a second. For the time being, as we go into Friday, there are various areas of low pressure tumbling just to the north of the UK, and it's because of these and their associated fronts that we are going to have some rain at times across northern parts as we go through Friday into Saturday. And worth bearing in mind, look how tightly packed those isobars are. There will be some blustery winds in association with all that as well. Further south, like I said, it's actually looking largely fine through much of this weekend. High pressure firmly in control. That's going to be building further as we go through this weekend, and with that we're going to see some warmer air pushing in too. That low that I mentioned at the start, what's currently Tropical Storm Dexter, it's this feature here really. A separate sort of low develops to the north of that, and then it drives a frontal system that's going to come through as we go through the latter part of the weekend, again bring some wet and perhaps blustery weather to northern parts, but it doesn't look particularly intense anymore. But let's look at the details for this coming Friday. I know it's not technically the weekend, but lots of people often ask for the Friday forecast, and it is my 10-year wedding anniversary to my wife, so I thought it's worth taking a glance at. Across northern parts, like I say, it's quite cloudy at times. There will be some wet weather at times, nothing particularly heavy, but a bit damp, some showery rain pushing through and some blustery winds here. Across more central southern areas, a fine day to end the week. Plenty of blue skies on offer, and with that it's going to feel pretty warm with temperatures peaking in the mid-20s towards the south, and even further north, high teens or low 20s. More showery bursts of rain to come for a time as we go overnight, but it is going to be largely dry for many places, and because it's going to be largely dry, perhaps a touch cooler than some recent nights, perhaps away from the northwest, where we are going to see another front making its way in. Like I said, there are various low pressure systems, various frontal systems across northern parts, and one of these fronts will be pushing across parts of Scotland, Northern Ireland, and perhaps into the far north of England as we go towards dawn on Saturday. Further south and east though, staying dry, clearer skies. There could be the odd pocket of mist and fog with lighter winds towards the south. Then that front across Scotland and Northern Ireland does edge a little bit further southeastwards. There could be some heavier bursts of rain mixed in with this, but it doesn't look like it will be particularly impactful. And yeah, just about bringing some outbreaks of rain to some parts of northern England, but most places staying dry. Across much of England and Wales, it looks like a fine day. Lots of blue sky on offer, and towards the north behind that front, even as it dies away, there will be a scattering of showers, and some of these showers could be quite heavy. Yes, they'll be blustery, and the odd thundery shower can't be ruled out either. Temperatures are going to rise as we go through this weekend, but we're still only looking at highs of around 25, 26 Celsius towards the south on Saturday. That being said, with the sunshine, it's going to feel pretty warm indeed. And once again, high teens or low 20s further north, but where you get those blustery winds, it is going to feel that little bit fresher for sure. Little change as we go through the end of the day on Saturday, so still a scattering of showers across northern parts, mostly dry elsewhere further south, and that's the theme that we take through much of the night, albeit some of the showery bursts across parts of Scotland and maybe Northern Ireland, they'll be easing a little bit, but still a few coming through at times. Elsewhere, and it's a largely dry picture, lots of clear skies, and with those clear skies, well, it may be a bit of a fresher night across some parts of, Scotland, Northern England, because we don't have that front, that cloud that's pushing in through Friday night into Saturday, so more dry, clear weather on offer, but for most temperatures, well, similar to the previous night. So a little bit fresh for some of us, but not especially chilly. Then through Sunday, well, it's actually looking largely dry now for the bulk of the day. The low pressure centre that I mentioned, which is to do with Tropical Storm Dexter, that's coming in. So things will be turning cloudier across Northern Ireland and perhaps western parts of Scotland. But now looks like it's going to be well into the afternoon, perhaps early evening, before we see most of the rain arriving across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. And it's really going to be towards the west-northwest. The winds will have dropped out for a time, but they are going to strengthen a little bit as that system pushes its way in. But across England and Wales, a fine day, lots of sunshine to go around, and with that sunshine and some warmer air making its way in, temperatures peaking possibly in the high 20s towards some places, so starting to get a little bit hot towards parts of the southeast. Further north again, we're talking high teens or low 20s for quite a few places. Then, as we go towards next week, and the high pressure is still in the south and day-on-day heating and dragging in some warmer air from to the south of us or across the near continent where temperatures are exceptionally high at the moment, that means that we're going to see our temperatures rising. Before that, we do have that unsettled spell affecting some northern parts of the UK, and with that hot air coming in across parts of the south, there's the risk of some heavy, perhaps even thundery showers developing as we go through Monday and into Tuesday across southern areas. But I think the big talking point will be the heat. We are likely to see temperatures rising, getting into the low 30s. It looks quite likely as we go through the early part of next week. Mid 30s, not out of the question. Whether or not the heat spreads towards northern parts, I'm not so sure here. Temperatures look set to stay closer to average for the time of year, but hot across the south, and still some question marks as to exactly how long the heat is going to last. It could just be a flash in the pan and just a couple of days, Monday, Tuesday perhaps being the warmest, the hottest day when we could get into the mid 30s, and then thereafter some uncertainty as to exactly what those temperatures do. So one to stay on top of. It does look like we will possibly have a heat wave of some sorts for some places, but exactly how severe, how long it's going to last, well, that's what we need to firm up on the details. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.